Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be focusing on making a health bar for our player, and this is going to be slightly different to what we did for our enemy. Instead of having our health bar float on top of us, we're going to have it stay static at the bottom of the game view. And so to do this, we're going to start off by going over to the hierarchy, UI, and canvas. So I right clicked to get to all of that. We're going to leave the render mode, the reference pixels per unit is still the same as it was before, so that'll be good for us just because it will keep everything consistent, so we have consistent UI components. Then we're gonna right click again, UI and slider, and if we zoom out by hitting F when our cursor's in the scene view, we can actually get a better look at our slider. And so this is our slider, we've seen it before, and I'm just going to position it down here, and then just as before we can scale it up, and I'm going to scale it up to about 400 and leave it at that. Now we need to get rid of the handle, so we'll do that, and then the next thing we need to do is go to transition, hit none. And now that we've got our slider scaled up and in the right position, I'm going to right click on the slider, go to UI and then image, and this will add an image, and we can import an image to represent who this health bar belongs to. So I go over to this target over here right next to source image, and I'm going to go down, find a sprite that best represents our character, click on that, exit out of that. And it's a bit doesn't look great right now, so we'll just adjust it a little bit by hand to scale it back into its right dimensions. And I can see that my slider's a little far left, so I'll just drag it across there, go to the image again, and just bring it in line with the slider. And then if I want to bring it back over here, I can do that. Unfortunately, the slider is going to take the image with it as it moves, as you can see there, but then I can just go back to the image and do that, and then we can take a quick peek in the game view and see how that is. So I'll just want to move both of these up just a little bit so that none of this icon is hidden, and I'm just going to smush this in the tiniest bit. And that looks pretty good to me. I can make further adjustments like the background and fill color and everything like that, but let's get our script on and then we can focus more on the aesthetics. So in terms of our player, we need a player health script, and this is something that we already have. Now the player health script is very similar to the enemy health script. So here's our enemy health script, and then there's our player health script. You probably didn't see much of a difference. The only thing that's really different here is that instead of it saying enemy health, it says player health up there. Where we will find larger differences is with our player destruction. So we had a enemy destruction. This is the script to destroy our enemies with shots, and this is our script to destroy us with shots. And so we wanted to reference the object being the player object, and the player object carries the tag player. And so I made a reference to my player health script instead of my enemy health script, and I'm saying, okay, you need to find an object with the tag player, and once you do that, you need to do the math that will subtract the amount of attack damage from the current player health so that we have a decrease or a depletion in health as we go through our game and get shot. Other than the reference changes, the script acts completely the same, and we can even see in our player health we have this anim.set trigger, which is die. So we need to create a new parameter in the animator for our player. So I'm going to select the player very obviously. I'm going to zoom into them, really make sure they're selected, and then I'm going to hit plus, and now this parameter is a trigger if we remember correctly, and our trigger is die, and we have a death animation which I created before. It's really not different to our enemy's death animation, but I'll play it out anyway. There you go, a couple of frames taken out of that. And then we can make a transition from any state to the player death. So from any state, go transition, right click, transition, and then we can click on that arrow. Conditions, list is empty, so then we'll go to die, and that's all we need to do. And so it's going to go from there to there, and we don't really need to worry about the has exit time thing here. Alright, now let's look at our player destruction script. So we have our enemy bolt here, and it doesn't have any of that attached to it. It has a rigid body, and its rotation is frozen on the z-axis, and we don't have a script that says, hey, you need to apply attack damage when you collide with our player. So we're going to go to add component, physics 2D, circle collider, because that will best represent our object. We can drag an instance of it into the scene. Take a look, that circle collider is pretty accurate, so I'm just going to delete that, and then go to enemy bolt again. And then with our collider, we want to set it as is trigger, so that it won't just push our player, but it'll actually overlap with the player's collider. And then we're going to go to add component again, scripts, and then we're going to find player destruction and apply that script. And so it works exactly the same as our enemy destruction script, so we'll leave the attack damage at 1. We can then go over to our player here, and our player doesn't have the health script on them yet, so we're just going to do the same thing. We'll go to add component, scripts, player health, and now we can see that our player has a starting health of 100. We'll just set it to 10, and then we need to get this slider that we just created, so we go to canvas and then slider. Finally, we'll go to the slider itself. I'm going to set the max value to 10 just to match up with the amount of health points that we have, and then the value to 10 so that the slider is full all the way across. Okay, so we can see our players taking damage right now, and once we're at 0, there we go, our player blows up, and that's him, he's gone. But the game still continues, which is something we're going to be working on in the future. But thank you for watching this part, thank you for sticking around. That'll be me for today, but there's more on the way, so see you next time.